ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rusty Trombone having a rough one, apparently, because YouTube took their video down because of, and it says something here. I didn't read the thing. COVID pandemic #vaccine. Okay, so it's probably for medical misinformation. I don't even know which video he's talking about. I'm surprised other ones haven't been taken down. Not for, like, he's really careful not to say anything. He just sits there and kind of dozes off while he brings on Aaron Mate and these other bastards coming in and shitting on the Ukrainians and calling them Nazis and saying basically they have, they had it coming, all that shit. So I'm curious which one. So apologies ahead of time if the yammering gets to you. So this thing is happening to us. Hello, you 5.9.
We have been officially censored by...
Oh my fucking God. More like, we have officially, finally crossed the terms of service line where we fucked around and found out.
YouTube. They took down one of our videos for misinformation. But why are big media...
I would say, for the record, disinformation, because this is an active measure as opposed to a passive measure. Because is Rusty Rockets dumb as a fucking stump? Yes. Does he know he's full of shit half the time? It's an arguable point. Does his staff know? Absolutely. Do the people who cut the videos and post them know? You bet your ass.
Organizations not censored for misinformation in the same way.
Because they have... they categorically make sure that they are, in line with the science, at least best science at the time. And, I mean, I don't even know why he got their video taken down. So we'll see what the violation was in this window. But there's a lot of whataboutism. What? They said there's nothing wrong with vaccines. And obviously, some people have reactions, therefore, don't take them. That's where he is.
Is it because YouTube are part of the mainstream media now?
Yes, it is. So you should probably get off there and stop calling yourself independent media, because obviously you are part of the problem.
What?
Russell, that's the thing. It's that they certainly are now. As you gain popularity, maybe you are part of the manipulation exercise, and your violation of the terms of service is not because they're trying to shut your message down. It's because they don't want you to step over the line and get them dismissed. So they want to keep you just on this side of the terms of service, just on this side of it, so you can continue to manipulate the public, because that's arguably what you say about the mainstream media, and that's what you do for a fucking living. So.
Now. Hello there, you 5.9 million awakening wonders. Thank you for joining me on this voyage towards truth and freedom, where
many of you don't have a choice because we purchased you.
We embrace the light within.
You embrace the light within? Motherfucker, you do nothing but doomsday thumbnails.
Look, the superficial differences between us to...
The superficial... Yeah, the difference between Republicans and Democrats in the United States right now are superficial. Two legs in the same pair of pants. What's the difference? And by the way, don't vote for either. Check out.
Form new unitary forces. And if you...
New unitary forces. I'm the new universal unitary church of Rusty Trombones.
You're going to be serious about...
Everyone, stand up and do the official salute.
Making change, you're going to have to make it with us over on Rumble, where these videos are released first and where we stream every day.
Yeah, you should probably get off here entirely. I think that's a great idea.
Live, 1 hour of content, absolutely free at 5 p.m. If you watch it streamed live.
At 5 p.m. what?
There's not even any adverts in it. There's a link in the description. Join us there every day. Now, we've got a fantastic story.
Obviously, the live shows weren't working out well.
Story for you today about YouTube, about censorship,
and about yelling.
And about the future of this platform. Now, this...
you mean the future of your show? I really think if you should put your money where your mouth isn't and get the fuck off of YouTube, then clearly it's bad.
Get into the story. Earlier this month, we did a video about the changing narratives around COVID, the pandemic, and COVID treatments, in which we cited information on official government websites, which we misinterpreted. I'll have to be careful talking about...
Oh, we misinterpreted.
About it now, because I don't want to make the same mistake that...
By the way, he did a so I know what this is about. Okay, I'll open link in new tab, go back to here. He's gonna open this thing. Shut the fuck up. He did. There's this video. I've been censored. Go to Rumble. Fuck. My big announcement. I'm going live. That's what he's talking about. Where's his officially they lied. Yeah, so this is the he's done nothing but these kind of videos nonstop. But there's so he lied, I can't believe this happened. You can't make this shit up. Oh fuck. Like he's just the swearing with the asterisks works really well. What the fuck did he just say? Queen's funeral. Where's his he did an apology a bit ago. And by the way, it was all a scam. Look at the masks. This is a disgrace. Hang on, Fauci did what? Hang on, is this a joke? And then there's a target on his face. Do you agree? And there's Matt Taibbi. Right. It's all a fucking lie. Where is it? This is why they censored Trump. Did he take down his apology video? Because it wasn't that long ago. Am I just missing it? Hold on. I made a mistake. Where is it? Because he changed the thumbnail was just him by himself. Yeah, I think they took it down. Fuck this dude. That's amazing. So he made an apology video about this one. And then apparently, I guess it wasn't enough. So he was like, fuck it, and took it down. Let's see. Officially, yeah, 4 weeks ago. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah, I don't see it. It wasn't a month ago, I don't think. Oh, they came after me. This one. We did that one. That was 2 months ago. Yeah, so it was after that. So this fucker did an apology video, tried to get back in YouTube's good graces, and they basically told him to go fuck himself, and they wouldn't put the video back up. And understand this. There is no way with this many subscribers that Russell Brand doesn't have a YouTube liaison. Somebody works there and helps him out, and his producer or somebody gets to call them with questions, and they get white glove service. If I get a strike, I'm just fucked. If he gets a strike, there's a level of ass kissing going around. Apparently, it wasn't enough ass kissing.
Has had one of our videos pulled down and an official warning issued.
Yeah.
The good news is we're moving to Rumble.
Yeah, that is good news.
All of our content is up on Rumble first, and we'll be streaming on Rumble every day. We know that Rumble has a reputation in some quarters for having certain particular biases.
It's a right-wing fucking claptrap site. It's just short of BitChute, you fuck.
Biases that we are beyond.
Yeah, totally beyond. That's why I have on everyone who basically shits on democracy. Like, people who are all over the spectrum, like Matt Taibbi, Aaron Mate, Jimmy Dore, people who say the exact same fucking thing about everything.
I'm interested in total transparent
communication. Bullshit.
Empowerment of the audience.
Bullshit.
Symbiotic two-way conversation.
No, you're not. This is a rhetorical medium. Go fuck yourself.
And attacking elite establishment, whether it's corporate.
Yeah. Or people with $18 million worth of personal wealth in just their houses and cars alone.
Or state, so that ordinary people can communicate freely beyond the limited remit of the mainstream media. That is why it's so convenient that this has happened at this time.
Yeah, this is just what we needed. Right about the time I built an audience of about 5 million and only half of them are fake. Now I can bring them over to Rumble if they'll come, because I'm building a cult. And then I will milk those people and start selling them pancake batter and fallout shelters.
We have been persecuted for misinformation, and it's right. Right, we have a responsibility.
Wait a minute. We have been persecuted for misinformation. What?
We have been persecuted for misinformation, and it's right, we have a responsibility.
Then you're not persecuted, you fucking chump. That's not persecution.
To make sure that the information we convey is absolutely 100% as accurate as it possibly could be.
Yeah, he doesn't go anywhere near that shit. He's not acting on 100%. This isn't a science fucking show. This is an opinion video series and now an opinion live stream, which we might have to jump into at some point collectively after the morning show. Now that I know it exists.
We made a mistake in saying that was now recommended by the NIH. What we should have said is they're trialing. That's what.
All right, fuck you. He left the word out so that the fucking censor thing. They didn't censor him. He put that in. His own people put that in. That is manipulative. That is to make his audience think that YouTube did that to put that thing over his face and bleeped him out.
What we should have said. You pointed that out to us. We made an apology video. We've taken that down as well. YouTube.
Yeah, you fucker. What'd I say? We've taken that one down as well.
Down our original video. We've taken down the apology video because in case we reiterate the claim while apologizing for it.
Like now?
Like if you said, I shouldn't have said that you look stupid in those shoes. You just said I look stupid in those shoes.
Okay, that's not how it works either. I talk about this shit all the time. And the only reason I get strikes, I get demonetized on my videos is because I swear like a sailor who's just had his foot run over by a barge. So, look, there was an article a few years ago. The people who swear are more fucking trustworthy and are more fucking honest. So, God damn it, I'm going to speak like I want to speak.
Shoes, that kind of playground mad logic. So
no, it's not that kind of playground mad logic. It's because you will try to apologize without actually apologizing while trying to slip the same misinformation in as if it's not the problem wasn't the information or the misinformation, but how YouTube reacted to it, you chimp.
So both of those videos you can watch right now on Rumble. They're still...
I mean, now I got to report this because he's spreading the same disinformation. He's just using YouTube as a bank shot.
Live on Rumble. That's the reason we're joining them, because they're not going to censor our content.
Good. Yeah. Have fun. Tell you what, why don't you go to uncensored.tv or go to fucking ask Spotify to suck you up like Joe Rogan. Bye.
By the way, just so you know, I don't want the right to say mean things about people. I'm not...
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's sweet. It's very sweet of you. Way to make a stand.
Interested in that. I'm not interested in wars between different traditional or progressive factions. I support and love
traditional or progressive factions, not conservative or progressive. Traditional. Notice how one word is more of a soft landing.
Love all of you. If you love Donald Trump, I love you. If you love Joe Biden, I love you.
I just love Trump more than I love Joe Biden.
Want us to create new systems together. I don't believe these institutionalized systems at the level of the financial, governmental, or media world are ever going to serve ordinary people.
Yeah, he's Ron Paul if he lived at the Spawn Ranch.
I believe we're at a point of crisis and things need to radically change fast. And I believe...
Yeah, we need to create a whole new system, not predicated on the rule of law, the Constitution, or anything like that. And we've got to do it quickly so nobody really thinks it through. We need a revolution of assholes.
We'll be able to communicate our message more freely on Rumble. And
yes, you will. Bye.
This misinformation strike and takedown demonstrates exactly what it is we're talking about.
No, it doesn't. Because you admit you fucked up. You perpetuated a lie. Because we misread what it meant. You sought out confirmation bias-based anti-vaccine propaganda, and you see it in every fucking thing you read. So you couldn't even read basic information without it churning in your fucking head into backup for your point of view. So you put this fucking video out and you misspoke, if I'm being generous. You lied openly if I'm not. You admit that was the problem. This is not YouTube being wrong. As a matter of fact, all this points to is that Rumble will let you post fucking anything because as long as it carries weight, and and their Rumble system, how many Rumbles you get, can be manipulated by the owners so that they can artificially crank the algorithm the way they accuse YouTube and Twitter and all these other sites of attacking them by shadow banning them. They basically shadow boost shit that doesn't deserve it.
We made an error, in my opinion, a relatively small error.
Oh, look at that. In my opinion, cut. Say a bunch of shit that will get us in more trouble. Relatively small error, and then my editor will take out the part that is legally dubious.
And we're being penalised. For me, that looks like censorship. And
it's not. You could have taken down your video yourself when they told you were misinforming people and uploaded a new one. You could have left your apology up, but you didn't because it lost you fucking viewers. That's what this is about. The apology video it drove away a bunch of his right-wing viewers. The viewership took a shit because in Trump world and MAGA world, you don't apologize, especially the Qs are clamoring around this fucking clown.
the reason I think it looks like censorship is because there's mainstream media misinformation up all the time.
Getting a hold of that information about whether you can get infected once you're vaccinated and potentially pass it to somebody else, that's really important. Well, today,
by the way, that's not she's based on a traditional vaccine. She was talking about a traditional vaccine in the very beginning. The mRNA didn't turn out to be that case. They've referenced that since. She left this up and the other references about you can get it, but you won't be hospitalized. That's the factor of the mRNA, that it will give you further immunity against illness, but you can still carry it. That was the new part of the mRNA vaccines.
Today, the CDC reported new data that shows that under real-world conditions, not just in a lab, not just extrapolating.
March 29th, 2021.
From tiny numbers of test subjects.
Yeah, it's not like they just test things on like 8 mouses and then release a booster shot. They'd never do that.
That wasn't about the boosters, you dumb fuck. That was about a 2-dose of the actual vaccine. He just did it again. Look at this. Watch this shit.
Not just in a lab.
Okay. Consistent with clinical trial data, a 2-dose regimen prevented 90% of infections by 2 weeks after the second shot. 1 dose prevented 80% of infections by 2 weeks after vaccination. All right. That's about the primary vaccines. This is about the actual vaccines themselves, a 2-dose regimen of it, not the booster part. The booster part should work anyways. It makes logical sense that if you have, if it's spreading quickly and there are multiple mutations that are because it's such a gigantic pandemic that spread quicker than other diseases, you will encounter them. So therefore, the boosters become necessary for a certain group of people, especially. Notice how this is about the primary vaccines, and then what his reference is about the boosters.
Not just extrapolating from tiny numbers of test subjects.
Yeah, it's
not just extrapolating from tiny numbers of test subjects. This was from massive amounts of people taking getting the shots, getting both of them, and again, it wasn't a first shot and then a booster. This was a 2-shot regimen. Watch this.
Like they just test things on like 8 mouses and then release a booster shot. They'd never.
And again, making technically an artificial correlation, or trying to straw man her argument with this other base argument. So, and let's take a look at this. For the BA4 and BA5 boosters, the companies have submitted animal data. They've not released those data publicly, although at the June FDA meeting, Pfizer presented preliminary findings in 8 mice given BA4 or BA5 vaccines as their third dose. Compared with the mice that received an original vaccine as a booster, the animals showed an increased response to all Omicron variants tested, BA1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, BA4 and BA5. The companies say clinical trials for the BA4 and BA5 vaccines will begin next month. They need clinical data both for full approval of vaccines. Their recent submissions are only for emergency use authorization and to help develop future updates. Presumably, they will measure recipients' antibody levels, but not the vaccine's efficacy against infection or severe disease. Such trials are very expensive and were not done for the BA1 shot either. Didn't turn out to be necessary. Helped against Omicron, all fucking ready. The references they were giving, Pfizer presented preliminary findings in 8 mice. They did full clinical trials after that, but because it was an emergency and Delta had just killed a bunch of fucking people, was more dangerous than the wild type in some cases, that's why. He's doing it again. This is active misinformation. This is creating artificial correlation between 2 separate studies and downplaying the yeah but parts of the article by highlighting this part and moving on. Look how fucking quick he plays this video. This picture. Because you guys know when I put a piece of stuff up on the screen, I may read it really fast, but it stays up there for a good long while. And if anybody ever asks me to put it back up again, you got it.
It's not like they just test things on 8 mouses and then release a booster shot. They'd never do that. Look
at that. It's just an asshole. Yeah, new apology video coming soon. This is, technically speaking, worse than, in some ways, the ivermectin thing.
Of you will be familiar by now with this famous MSNBC clip from Rachel Maddow, where Rachel says that if you take the vaccine, you cannot spread the virus. Now, I think most of us know now that that's not true, but that video is up on YouTube right now. You can go and look at it on YouTube. We'll put a link in the description.
Well, all right. Let's go. Hold on for the, okay, where is it? Link in the description. Let's scroll down here. Join our community. Meditation breathwork. Rumble. Locals. Show less. So is that misinformation or disinformation when he says that they'll put the link in the description and then they just don't? There it is. That's all of it. I can click show less if you want to see less. That's show more. That's all of it. That's everything they put. That would be, I would go with misinformation on dumbass's part, disinformation on his staff's part. For some reason, they pulled the video. They didn't put it in there.
Although, in my opinion, that's misinformation. Because the truth is, the vaccine does not stop you spreading the disease. Does it? That was misinformation.
No, it stops you from dying from it. It stops you from being hospitalized in 99% of the cases. Most of the time, what is it? We'll look it up exactly. Hold on. I don't want to be misquoted. Hold on. Let's see. Here's the latest CDC stuff. This is here you go. COVID-19 vaccines protect against COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations. Vaccines reduce the risk of COVID-19, including the risk of severe illness and death among people who are fully vaccinated. In addition to data from clinical trials, evidence from real-world vaccine effectiveness studies showed that COVID-19 vaccines help protect against COVID-19 infections with or without symptoms, asymptomatic infections. Vaccine effectiveness against hospitalizations has remained relatively high over time, although it tends to be slightly lower for older adults or for people with weakened immune systems. Most people need booster shots. COVID-19 vaccines are working well to prevent severe illness, hospitalization, death. However, Public health experts see reduced protection over time against mild and moderate disease, especially among certain populations. For the best protection, everyone 6 months and older is recommended to stay up to date with the COVID-19 vaccines, which includes getting boosters if eligible. Vaccine breakthrough infections. COVID-19 vaccines are effective at preventing severe disease, hospitalization, and death. However, since vaccines are not 100% effective at preventing infection, some people who are up to date with the recommended vaccines will still get COVID-19. This is called breakthrough infection. When people who are vaccinated develop symptoms of COVID-19, they tend to experience less severe symptoms than those people who are unvaccinated. The COVID-19 vaccines are effective against most variants. Constantly changing new types of virus called variants. COVID-19 vaccines used in the United States continue to protect against severe disease, hospitalization, and death from known circulating variants. They may not be as effective in preventing infection from these variants. CDC will continue to monitor vaccine effectiveness to see what impact, if any, variants have on how well COVID-19 vaccines work in real-world conditions. Latest stuff is in their CDC COVID data tracker. Total cases, downward trend, total deaths, 1,051,389 Americans. Current hospital admission trends, 20,000, 31.5%, 5+ with their first booster. Now they're including the children, so the children are much lower. So 35.1% of the people are, once you include children, they aren't necessarily getting it at the frequency that adults are. So it waters the number. It's more like 75% of adults. Yeah, there you go. Here you go. Hospitalization, vaccine effectiveness. 61% for 2 doses during BA1, age group, mRNA, population of 10 states. Here's the monitoring system vision. 92% for 3 doses, 7 to 190 days after third dose. 85% for 3 doses, greater or less equal to 120 days after the third dose. 24% for 2 doses during BA2, 69. There's the breakdown. That's it. This is the actual information as we have it from the CDC, which anyone can go get, by the way. Now, Russell, on the other hand, does not want you to go look at the CDC sites because Fauci is a murderer and endangers us all.
Now, I'm not suggesting Rachel Maddow knew that at the time. I'm sure she was responding authentically to what she believed is the truth as a responsible, good journalist. I don't think Rachel Maddow is a bad person. I'm saying that if it's misinformation for us to say on our channel that something was recommended by the NIH when it's been clinically trialed by the NIH, and it's very difficult to envisage that there are potentially negative medical consequences, let alone fatalities that could come from that, then get that shit down, because someone could watch this now. Oh wow, it prevents the spread.
No. Nobody's going back and watching early pandemic Rachel Maddow stuff because she's on every fucking night. Also, hold on one second. Let me see if I can do this. Rachel Maddow. Let's see. Vaccine prevents infection. Mm-hmm. December 21st, 2021. March, set your concerns aside, get vaccinated, do it for yourself. MSNBC, Fox, and viewers demand apology manager for declaring it's the December 28th, 2021. Personal. See if you've been putting off vaccination, now is the time to do it. Hold on. This is going to be an ad. And then I'm going to bring something up. Give me a second.
Just say, before we do that, just as a personal plea from me, if you have been putting off being vaccinated for whatever reason, don't agonize about it. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about that.
This is December 21st, 2021, by the way.
And, get you defensive about it. Just make a fresh decision now. Take a fresh look at the issue now, looking at what's going on now. No matter why you have put it off in the past, no judgment. Now is the time to actually go do it. Because we really cannot afford you having to go to the hospital right now. If you're unvaccinated, you have a much higher chance of getting this newly transmissible variant we had never seen before a couple of weeks ago. And it's the unvaccinated people who it's going to make sick. And we really just cannot afford for you to have to go to the hospital right now. I mean, looking all around the country, depending on where you live, there is a very good chance there's no room for you in the hospital right now if you need to go. And
okay, so that's December 21st, 2021. I want to see when his video was, which one he's talking about. Where was it? Yeah, they're not showing when.
Media misinformation up all the time.
getting a hold of that information about what else, that's really important. Well, today the CDC reported new data that shows that under real-world conditions, not just in a lab, not just extrapolating from tiny numbers of test subjects.
Yeah, it's not like they just test things on like 8 mouses and then release a booster shot. They'd never do that. Most of you will be familiar by now with this famous MSNBC clip from Rachel Maddow, where Rachel says that if you take the vaccine, you cannot spread the virus. Now, I think most of us know now that that's not true, but that video is up on YouTube right now. You can go.
We can get there. Okay, hold on. Rachel Maddow. We can get there. Stunning pace, U.S. 1 year ago, reports on astounding pace of vaccinations.
First of all, you might remember late last week, we got the sort of...
So this is the video he's talking about. Let's go. Okay, get the latest information from the CDC. Let's see. And down here is reports on the astounding pace of vaccinations. Notes news research show vaccine not only significant against COVID symptoms, but for the most part, actually block infection, which means they also prevent the spread of the virus, which is true. According to the CDC data, it just doesn't guarantee it. Breakthrough infections are not the norm.
Astonishing news that sort of flummoxed. The U.S. had hit a single day, and we've ended that we kept up that pace. We can get there. According to the White House, more than a third of all American adults, more than a third have now received at least one dose of the vaccine. 36% of all American adults. If we can keep up this pace, vaccinating 1% of the population every day, let alone, it's an even larger proportion of adults. And if we can keep up this pace, we've got more than a third of the population having at least one vaccine, close to 70. I actually want to talk to Dr. Williams getting. Biden said today.
But let's see. I want to find where the part about infection is.
Getting a hold of that information about whether you can get infected once you're vaccinated and potentially pass it to somebody else, that's really important. Well, today the CDC reported new data that shows that under real-world conditions, not just in a lab, not just extrapolating from tiny numbers of test subjects, but looking at thousands of frontline health workers and essential workers who got vaccinated and who have since been doing their jobs and living in the real world, not only are the vaccines for those folks, thousands of them, keeping those people from getting sick from COVID themselves.
Okay, hold on one second. Now we're going to check the Moderna. Hold on. The Moderna and Pfizer very effective in real world. I'll just like March. What is that? Yeah, March 29th. Here's the actual article. Let's see. Real world study by CDC shows Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are 90% effective. Study was released Monday. Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, online journal, blah, blah, blah. 4,000 healthcare workers. Study followed nearly 4,000 healthcare workers, first responders, and other essential workers in 8 U.S. locations as the first COVID vaccines were rolled out starting in December. Participants were tested weekly to look for all cases for COVID infection, even asymptomatic ones. In the period of time from December 14, 2020 to March 13, 2021, nearly 75% of the workers in the cohort received at least one dose of the mRNA vaccines. Both are given a 2-dose schedule. There were 161 COVID infections in the unvaccinated workers, compared with 16 in workers who had received only one dose by the time, and only 3 in people who had received both doses and were 2 weeks from their second dose. The vaccine effectiveness following 2 doses was 90%. roughly in line with the 95 to 95% Pfizer and Moderna vaccines showed, respectively, in clinical trials. Again, at this point, this will be where she says,
those vaccines are also highly effective at preventing those people from getting infected, even with non-symptomatic infection. And if you are not infected, you can't give it to anybody else. And I know this sounds like an increment.
Yeah, if you're not infected, you can't give it to anyone else. That's true. People who have breakthrough infections could pass it to other people. This isn't even misinformation.
Piece of
because that's what they're citing.
But sit on this for a second enough to absorb what this means. Right? What this means is that we can get there with vaccines. Mm-hmm. We can end this thing.
And we did, for all practical purposes.
It means that instead of the vaccine being able, instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person to person, spreading and spreading, sickening some of them, but not all of them. And the ones that it doesn't sicken don't know they have it. And then they give it to even more people because they didn't recognize they were, right? Instead of the virus being able to hop from person to person to person, potentially mutating and becoming more virulent and drug resistant along the way, now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus.
That would be the over definitive part of the article. That's where she's saying it stops with every vaccinated person. It stops with 98.7% of every vaccinated person.
The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else.
Yeah, technically from that point of view, if you have it and if you're not reinfected yourself because you've been vaccinated, then you're definitely not going to pass it. The breakthrough infections and how infectious the breakthrough infections are to other people, namely because one of the things that they noticed about like Omicron, for example, versus Delta was that Delta was harsher than Omicron. Omicron was way more contagious. You didn't necessarily have to be symptomatic to pass it. Delta, you kind of did.
It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means...
And by the way, within the realm of 98.7%, she's absolutely right. Are there going to be breakthrough cases? Are there absolutes in medicine? No. And so when you talk in absolutes, that's going to be the problem. And there might have been a judicious use of the word practically in there. But for all real world experience, it's exactly what happened.
The vaccines will get us to the end of this.
And it did. And she's right.
If we just go fast enough to get the whole population vaccinated. It's huge news.
Sometimes Wes is bringing up a good point. He goes, no vaccine has ever prevented other people from getting it. Yeah, it does, though, when symptomatic transfer is necessary. So in a situation where if it's passed because people are wiping their eyes or their nose and they've got the sniffles and postnasal drip and their eyes are running and that kind of stuff, or they cough in their hand and they're shaking hands, if they don't have those symptoms and they're washing their hands, even if they're touching their salivary glands because they're a fucking pitcher and they do it like a tick, it's still not going to pass on to another person. It'll be, it like rare upon rare upon rare that it does that, because those are those kind of diseases pass on because of their infectious nature.
Come and look at it on YouTube. We'll put a link in the description.
Which he didn't do. So again, misinformation. Thanks, Wes. Yeah, if you like the show, please like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. If I get a strike from any of these sites on the terms of service and stuff, I will learn to speak better. So because I can say what I need to say without violating the terms of service.
Although, in my opinion, that's misinformation. Because the truth is, the fact...
Yeah, but on the facts, what you're saying is misinformation.
Vaccine does not stop you spreading the disease, does it?
Yeah, it does. 98% of the time, practically. I mean, we had 3 cases out of 4,000 healthcare workers. Out of 4,000 vaccinated healthcare workers, you had 3 reinfections. And no, by the way, even in that study, let me point this out again too. Even in that study, see if we get this. Where was it? I covered it up again, and I don't know where I did it. I'll do it again. Even in that particular story, of the 4,000 that got reinfected themselves, there is no data on them infecting other people with their recurring infection. So even still, it doesn't just, she's not wrong in this situation. I don't know of any cases, and this is true, I don't know of any cases or any data so far where they found that people who get reinfected after being vaccinated pass it on. Even still, even if they get infected themselves, that there's any data about who caught it from a vaccinated person. I'm sure some data has to exist because they're going to want to test that. Yes, and you're right. Hers was before Delta. No, the video we just watched was after Delta, by the way, before at the beginning of Omicron, which they were viewing as they didn't know if it was as dangerous as the Delta variant would be, but it was a hell of a lot more contagious. Yeah, the viral load is so small in somebody who's been vaccinated that most of the time they don't pass it on in the same way that it doesn't it doesn't trigger their own immune response, so they don't even get symptoms.
That was misinformation. Now,
and again, she said, if you don't get infected, you can't pass it on. And while there are breakthrough infections, she's saying if you're vaccinated and you don't get infected, you're not passing it on. It stops with every person who doesn't get infected, which is true.
Now, I'm not suggesting Rachel Maddow knew that.
All right. Anyways, this jackhole is going to reiterate these points for another 10 minutes or 12 minutes. And I pass. Most of the time I will go through the entire video, but it's just, I just wanted to see what video he got busted for. I'm shocked they're not taking down the rest of his shit, quite frankly, because he said way worse things, way more incendiary, borderline calling for violence against Dr. Fauci.